All right, guys, welcome back to Daily Driving Hoopties. And here we are today in Irvine, California, at one of my favorite places to come. When COVID-19 is over, I highly recommend, if you're ever in the area, stopping by this place. We're at the Mercedes-Benz Classic Center. Here in beautiful Irvine. It is a beautiful Southern California day yet again, and we are driving the Sheep. This is my 1990 Mercedes-Benz 420 SEL. I love this car, guys. We drove down here earlier, and literally I had the biggest smile on my face on the freeway driving here. I don't know what it is with this car. I chopped the mufflers off of it a long time ago, and it's running some Flowmaster Delta, I think it's Delta Flow 40, or Delta Flow 44. I forget what the number is on it, but it makes this car just scream. I don't even know how else to describe it. We'll do a couple of fun. We're gonna have some fun in this episode, guys. So. We're starting here at the Classic Center. We're going to do some driving. I have the GoPros out now. I've determined I'm still going to do the YouTube bullshit on my phone because I like the audio. It sounds a little bit better. I'm not going to go buy any microphones yet. I'm sorry. Someone wants to sponsor me? Feel free. But until then, I'm sorry. We're just doing it on my iPhone. Here we'll do some cool videos like with the GoPros and stuff like that. But like I said, this is gonna be a fun episode today, guys. But let's just get into this Mercedes and dig into it. I'm a little bummed we can't go inside. They have some really cool cars. They actually have a recreation of Carl Benz's horseless buggy that he first came up with, that Mercedes-Benz got started with in the late 1800s. I think it was like 1890 he came up with that. So. And then that's when that whole partnership formed between Carl Benz and Daimler, and that whole thing happened, and blah, 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 blah. So I highly recommend coming here. Incredible resource if you're also restoring an older Mercedes. These guys have every bit of information you'll ever need to get. I've been here before multiple times just when I was working on this car. They can give you printouts of what you need, what you're working on. This is the place where if you have something you're working on that's bad and you need to have Mercedes remake it, this is where you bring your car and they measure it, and then they send the numbers back to Germany, and then they recreate whatever parts you need. But yeah, so the Classic Center, an incredible resource if you are restoring one of these older Mercedes. But let's jump into my car. So this is a 1990 420 SEL, the w126 chassis. This chassis was actually manufactured between December of 1979 and October of 1991. There is a select few cars that actually rolled off, of W126s that actually rolled off the line through 1994 out of the plant in East London, South Africa. Kind of a unique thing. I would love to actually get my hands on one of those cars. That'd be a unique car. Oh yeah, here's my W126 that technically doesn't exist. So, yeah, and then they also made these cars in Johor Bahru, Malaysia. So my car was actually not made in either of those facilities. My car was built in the Singlefielden plant. I didn't say that right again, I know that. But it was assembled in the plant in Germany. And this car came equipped with a 4.2 liter M116 engine and the 4G Tronic transmission. When I was doing a little research on these cars, I actually learned that you could get this car in the SE, so the short wheelbase. You couldn't get the long wheelbase for some reason. You get a 4.2 liter with a 5-speed manual. I need to find one of those, and I want to put that transmission in this car because that car would be insanely fun. With the 4-speed automatic, this car is insanely fun. So with a 5-speed manual, I can't even imagine what that car is going to be like. But as for the size of this car is actually pretty freaking massive. It has a 121-inch wheelbase. It's between 202.2 and 203.1 inches long. I don't know how Mercedes didn't know how long their car was, or if there was just that much variance. just within the body and the bumper structures. If you had a European bumper versus an American bumper, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I woke up at noon today and I'm still tired. But anyways, like I said, pretty big car overall, lengthwise. A lot of these cars made, actually a lot more than I had thought. 892,123 total W and C126s were built between 79 and 94. Total of those, 818,063 were sedans, and 74,060 were coupes. I guess that makes a coupe kind of rare. I mean, there was less than 100,000 made. An AMG car, those cars are really cool. That's kind of what I've kind of modeled my car off of what I think Mercedes-Benz would have done if they actually offered the sedan in an AMG kind of feel. But as for the rest of the car, the cool thing about this car, it was actually... It took 6 years to develop this car, and the head designer, Bruno Sacco, his entire emphasis on designing this car was putting it through the air tunnel, putting it through the wind tunnel tests, looking at aerodynamics and actually trying to lighten the car and take this car and actually improve upon that W116 chassis that was so well built in the first place with the 6.9 liter engines. So they took these cars and they made them lighter, they made them stronger, they have more composites, more alloys. These A-pillars have like 7 different angles inside of them. So if you were to cut this thing has 7 different sets of triangles inside of it to keep this roof up in a impact, I guess. So like a rollover impact or a side over side or an end over end. So I'm going to put a couple videos in here, and what I'll do is we'll just cut to those, and I just want you to see how strong and how rigid this car actually was built for Mercedes-Benz. They actually throw this thing side over side, and this doesn't cave in. These don't even, the side windows don't even break, if I don't remember. Just the front and back glass pop out, so when the car comes to a rest, whether if it's up or down, you can crawl out of the car. So just a really, really well-built, well-engineered car. These cars were built to go 1,000,000 miles. Mercedes-Benz, they actually have a really cool program where if you have a Mercedes, if you take it into the dealer, they will actually give you a little badge for your Mercedes to put on the car to say how many miles you've driven on it. So there's little mileage markers, and they'll give you little badges and rewards for these cars as you drive them farther and farther. And I love it. I actually have my first badge on this car. Right now, we're sitting at 245,462,000 miles on this car. It's a lot of miles. Granted, I put a lot of time and money and effort into this car as well. I'm not saying these are one of these cars that you're going to jump in and you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to drive this thing like a Chevy, and it's going to cost me the same price as a Chevy. No, no, no. The parts for this car are astronomically priced in some things. Other things, not so much. Like my alternator. My alternator was $170. Normal, pretty normal price for a new alternator. For any car. The one thing that had the Mercedes fun to it. When they built this car, it has a 3-piece pulley. Guess what fell apart and did not work on the new alternator? So I had to get a different pulley. So there's just little things like that you deal with on these. I had to rewire the alternate or the starter wire a couple of years ago because that wire just had gotten frayed up, and it was a cloth-based wire or a cloth-wrapped wire. It just didn't hold up to time as well as it should have. So there's been little things that I have had to kind of come across in this car. I've done the shocks in it. Thank God it doesn't have the self-leveling suspension in it, because that would be a nightmare. That was why I went for a 420 and not a 560. Downfall to having a 420, I don't have heated seats. A 560, I would have had heated seats, and the back would have actually had heated and reclined seats. The back seat in this car is very comfortable, but the 560 makes it just that much more comfortable. What can you do? I bought this car to drive it, not be driven around in it. If I was to be buying a car to be driven around in, I would be driving a Maybach. It's just how it is. I love those little gauges that go right here, and it tells you how fast the driver's driving you and what the ambient air temperature inside the car and outside the car is. It's just a really kind of cool feature. So if I'm getting driven around, that's what I'm getting driven around in, or like a Rolls Royce or something. But probably not, because I want to probably drive my Rolls Royce. I'm an interesting individual. I can't help it. But as for the car we're in, let's dive into it now. So 230 base horsepower from Mercedes that they claim, and a top speed of 137 miles an hour, which is a lie, because I have definitely had this car over 137 miles an hour, and it definitely has plenty more to offer and give. My goals for this car is eventually to take it and put a Wistek supercharger on it, and hopefully put a 6-speed manual transmission, or even a 5-speed. I'd be okay with sourcing an original 5-speed, but obviously that would have to be grossly beefed up to that. The mailman just showed up, so you're going to see that individual probably walk by here in a second. That does lead me to another build I want to do, which is really funny. Those little monsters right there, the Grumman LLV. Yes, the mail truck, made between like 1986 and 1991, all of them, by the Grumman Corporation. Really cool, based off the Chevy S10. I want to put an LS motor in one. It's one of my few LS builds that I want to do. I want to put the snails in them, of course. You got to have snails if you're putting an LS motor in something. I mean, snails in the supercharger. I mean, snails in a shell, right? Every snail needs a shell. So, twin turbo supercharged mail truck. That would be really cool. I think I would want to make it a little bit longer, but probably put it on an Astro van, because then you get that all-wheel drive setup out of the Astro van, and then you can put a 4L60 or a 4L80 behind it, and everything kind of mounts up, and you have a really good basis of a chassis to kind of start building off of. So, yeah, someday, if you guys make this take off and we can do this and I can start building cars all day and not having to do computer stuff for a living, that is one of the builds we're going to do. So let's get into the Mercedes now. I'm going to stop the video here, and I'm going to open all the doors up, and we're just going to do a tour of my Mercedes-Benz here, and we'll just do a little walk around outside of the grounds here at the Mercedes-Benz Center. There's really not much to see. It's just a really pretty kind of building here in Irvine. All right, we are back here. I am outside of the car, and again, we are at the Mercedes-Benz Classic Center. If we come out to the main street here, you can see this is, what is this, Rockfield, I think it is, the street we're on here. But there is the sign, and it is incognito-ly just sitting there. And there is my Mercedes, and I'll take a couple pictures of it too. But her name is Das Sheep, because when I got her, she was my only German car. She was my only non-Chevy. She was the sheep of the group. So, was that a little C63 or something over there? CL63 that drove by? But, yeah, this is my Mercedes. It is by no means perfect, guys. So, truest to my YouTube channel name, we are daily driving hoopties, and this thing is a hoopty at that. It's a nice hoopty, but it's still a hoopty. Needs paint, just like everything else I own. I live in California. We can't have nice things here. And I am definitely convinced that there is a hole in the ozone above me here in Southern California, because believe it or not, the paint was not horrible on this car when I brought it down here from Northern California. It was bad. The roof was starting to go and the deck lid was starting to go. Now the roof is gone, the deck lid is gone, and the hood is starting to go. So it's just not good. As for my wheel choice, these wheels are actually off of a C-Class, later 2000s, or early 2000s, I mean. The back spacing and everything just works, and it's a 16, so your tires stay cheap. And this thing likes back tires. I can't help it. It's a fun car, guys. Again, like I said, I put Flowmasters on it. There she is. She's just a nice overall car. I do have the German plates on the back of it as well. There is a Porygon board on this one too. As always, gotta have that Porygon board because that's what they do. One cool thing about these cars, guys, that I do want to note that the cars in Europe did not get. They did not get that triangle. It was very difficult. I don't know if you had to order the triangle here in the US, but that triangle did not come with these cars. And these cars also, just to know, these cars are littered with VIN numbers. There's VIN numbers on everything. Just everything everywhere. They're on the bumpers. They're on the deck lid. They're on the doors. They are just absolutely everywhere on this car. I'm just opening some of the doors here for you guys. But yeah, you can see inside the car here. Just a really nice, clean example of a w126. I've done some minor modifications, so I've added some AMG stuff. Like I said, I was just trying to go for a car that kind of was reminiscent of what AMG kind of would have done to one of these cars. Probably just put an exhaust on it, put some different wheels, throw some badges on it like they do now. One thing I have gone and done, I've done some chroming. I put a chrome bezel instead of a plastic one because my plastic one disintegrated. My wheel started doing the GM thing, so I bought this steering wheel. I love it. It makes the car just totally what it is now, and it matches the trim pretty decently. I did have chrome rings around my gauges. It just needed to happen. I think it makes the car look that much more updated, and kind of like the R126s had. R126. No. R129, my bad. R129s had. The R129s had the chrome gauges in the later years. And I actually, somebody gave me that, so I just figured that was a kind of a cool place to put that. And here is my sheep, my America meets Germany, and my Mercedes badge that I have on here. And we do have a couple of different tones of colors going on here. I just like the darker floor mats. I destroyed my first set of really nice floor mats. And then my friends, they actually bought me these as a joke, or showed me these as a joke, and I loved them, so I actually wound up buying them. I have the fronts, but I didn't like the way the fronts looked, so I just did the backs. I do have the floor mat, or the footrests for the back seats here. We do have the sheepskin covers to keep with the sheep theme. I do love all these little airplane things though in this car. Like, look at this little feature here. Just some really cool stuff that they don't really put in cars anymore. The cars aren't made like this anymore. One thing I do want to note for you guys is this seat is all the way back right now. And I mean back and back. I mean, I'm comfortable. Please, everybody, full-size cars need to be made full-size again. I am 6'3", 265 pounds right now. Please make cars that I can fit in. I am so sick of getting into little cars that people think are, oh, it's a full-size car. I get in the back seat and I have to slouch down because my head hits the roof. I have to slouch down because my head's either in the window in some of these cars. Just please build cars like this again. We don't need screens. We don't need all this stuff. Just build a car that we can use and we can fit in. And I mean, this car is not that big. Compared to the Caprice, this car is quite petite actually. It's just not as wide also, I've noticed. These earlier German cars, they definitely don't tend to be anywhere near as wide as their American counterparts. But as for some, again, these little touches here, I love these. I've gone and put LEDs through this whole car. It just had to happen. So, and these are actually all little Mercedes-Benz projectors. I thought they were kind of cool and lame, so I bought those also. How can you not? I went with G-Wagon V8 badging because I got sick of people asking me if it was a diesel. No, it's not a diesel. It doesn't sound like a diesel, and it's never going to be a diesel. So, yeah. And then I put these little powered by Mercedes-Benz badges on the side here. I went with the AMG Heritage center hubcaps. We do have a couple of grill badges here, some fun ones. And let's pop the hood and we'll go take a look at that M116 here. All right, guys, sorry about that. And here we are. Here's that beautiful M116. As I said, I had to rewire it, so we rewired everything here. But yeah, there it is, nice and clean, really tidy. I really try to keep this car as clean as I possibly can. I love this car. It is my baby. I love it. We just did a whole new power steering, everything on it, so everything looks like it's actually pretty good. The car feels great. I'm not pouring power steering fluid out the back of it anymore. So yeah, but here we are again, Mercedes-Benz Classic Center. Here's one of those mileage badges I was telling you about, guys. So they will actually send you, after this badge, I believe they just send you the little things and it'll just get longer as we go. So that little AMG badge in there too. And yes, we do run a K&N air filter. And FCP Euro, I gotta do a shout out to you guys. My buddy Brandon got me turned on to you guys, and your guys' oils have made this car run immensely better. So thank you, Brandon, thank you FCP Euro, and thank you Liquid Molly for helping this old sheep out. She does have 240,000 plus miles coming on her, so we're going to be using Liquid Molly in her for pretty much the rest of her life, as well as the K&N air filter. One thing I do want to get is I do want to get a double snorkel air cleaner. Again, 560 had the double snorkels on it, so just another thing I need to get, but what can you do? The only other thing I do want to show you guys on these older Mercedes that I find that is just a really, really cool feature is these hoods. So if you can tell Mercedes-Benz built this car to be worked on and not to be thrown away, because the hood actually has a position where you can take the engine out without having to take the hood off. Like, thank you. The computer components and everything, they're all up in here too. So whenever you're washing these cars, just make sure you're really, really careful and you don't get any stuff up in there. And also make sure you lube these points, because like older Fords, the linkages do want to stick on you sometimes. So that is one thing I do highly recommend on some of these older cars, is make sure you lube up your throttle points, because they will stick a little bit. But we're gonna go ahead and close this one off here, guys. We're gonna go for a little drive. I'm gonna get all the GoPros and stuff set up on the car, and let's go for a cruise and take this thing up and driving through Santiago Canyon and up and over the hill here, guys. All right, bye. All right, guys, we're here with Randy. He's our tripod right now. Say hi to him.
Hey.
So we are in the Sheep. We're driving the Ortega highway today, guys. So we got some really cool footage we're shooting right now on a couple of the GoPros. So it's gonna be really fun. But just to kind of, I guess while we're driving, we can do a little go through. Let me put the windows up here so we have a little bit of not a wind effect on your microphone there. But anyways, so here we are in the Sheep. We're driving the Ortega highway. As I said, Randy is our tripod right now. We're just driving, enjoying this beautiful drive. I haven't done this drive in about 10-15 years. So we're right now coming through the town of El Carrizo Village. I'm doing 44 miles an hour, and the Mercedes is driving great. we pulled it out from under a cover yesterday, essentially. And it had been sitting, what, for probably about 2.5 months, probably?
Yep.
We did all the power steering lines on it, so it finally doesn't smell like I'm driving refinery now. That's kind of nice. Transmission still has a little bit of seepage on the pan, but I'm not going to worry about that. This car is fun, man. 1500 Chevy. Anyways, so we're driving this thing, and we're at altitude now, and I'm at now 55, and we're going uphill, and this thing's loving it, man. Hanging out right around 80 degrees Celsius in the temperature. I have no idea what that does, what that comes out to. What is it, times 2 plus 32? So 80 plus, so it's 160.
190.
So about 190 to 200 degrees, roughly. So oil pressure is great. Thank you, Liquid Moly. Definitely upped the oil pressure. Used to hang out right between the 2 and the 3. Now it's pegged at the 3 all the time again, just like when I got it. But I love this thing. Randy's going to go ahead and pick the phone up here and give you an idea of where we're at. We're coming down into Lake Elsinore. Alright guys, so here we are. We started a new video. You can't. So one thing I find stupid on iPhones is you can't actually flip the camera mid-video. Kind of lame. So we're now coming down into Lake Elsinore off the 74. Lake Elsinore is down to the left of me. Alright guys, so here we are at the Santa Ana Watershed Rock here at the road, right above Lake Elsinore. So we are looking at Lake Elsinore here. Actually kind of a pretty lake. We're here to talk about the sheep. So here she is again, looking great, I must say. I love this car. I really do. It's just an awesome car. You can see Porg on board. He's around. Goes a lot of places in this car. But the car's looking great. Absolutely just. We just drove this thing probably 150 miles today, and every moment of driving this car, I'm always just loving it. We have the beautiful mountains range back behind there. You can see that there. I'm going to probably take a few pictures here of this thing here. But yeah, car is looking awesome. I love it. So if you guys are interested in seeing more videos from me, obviously, like I said, we're daily driving hoopties here, guys. This is my 1990 Mercedes-Benz 420 SEL. So hoop deal, so the air conditioning doesn't work. That's why we had the windows down. As you heard, I've done a bunch of work just recently, so make sure you just hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here. We're probably going to have a little bit of drive time still that's going as we go down the mountain, but we're going to cut back to this point for the stopping point, and I just want to say thank you for following, liking, subscribing, and we're going to have some Corvettes coming up soon, so keep on driving out there, enjoy these cars, and keep on driving hoopties, guys. All right, have a good one. Bye. All right, guys, here we are. I'm with Randy here. I'm going to pass him the phone, but this tack is just so much fun to watch bounce. But I'm going to pass Randy the phone here to go back behind the car, and we're going to rev this thing to like $5 grand for you, all right? So here we go. We're not really disturbing anybody. So there you go, Randy.
You want to next to the muffler?
Just go right back behind the car.